Setting communication line settings is trying to understand how to use adaptation surface. An adaptation surface is understanding point of view. Now, when I say point of view, it's understanding the line setting location to its placebo. The placebo cortex line is your visionary line setting. Your positions to your brain line setting, your brain waving position location is all also its projection. That's projecting. You guys know what a projection is, right? You flash it on a wall setting location, you see videograph settings. Film projecting. It's going extremely fast, right? So it's all calculated and modified how you see yourself in all provision line setting. Today in class, we're going to go through line rotations into levels. Back here, line setting, inhibitor locations, I set interference, setting business location and directions, radius down lines. We're also going to get into the foundation locations of 30 into 40 communication or target line settings. The more you reach higher line position, the more you come into the mind of the altered state locations, all right? Higher program settings set your line centers more into freedom, more into sovereignty, better understanding what you are through your spiritual system. Okay. Understanding the travels of mechanism, high setting, high interference of clock line settings, 24,000 signatures, 20,000 high in the line rotation interference. Once you understand the balance and the masculinity and the feminine line center location of you in space and time of pi, you're going to become in so many line communication systems of high setting. And so the high direct location of you is the position of placebo. The placebo is effect. Everything that you do is an effect. Everything that you do is life of a test. It's the knowledge of calculation setting how you see yourself in a situation. It's knowing the situation, how to get out of the situation in a way and form to see the silver lining. It's all position, location, and directions to see locations of everything are positive. Everything has to come out positive because it isn't, it comes out negative. And you can't get in that position of thinking as process line setting because it changes the mind adaptation of its surface. You understand? The alteration, the state of you will change the capacity setting. Okay. Metaphysics and set line communications. We'll be getting into that locations tomorrow line setting. Metaphysics is the mental capacity setting. Now it's position, location, direction, how you see yourself in all levels. So it's kind of like understanding the meta surface of you, the meta calculations of you, the meta activation streams of you, the meta division line settings of you. All right. So it's all calculated and modified through the psychological interface, which is the highest formation of AI connections. Awareness of its information holds the perception of its operation. Right. So it's important to understand these things. Any situation you get into, you always look at the positive angle of everything. Because if you don't, you're not going to see the results. You're going to backtrack interference and you're going to see like in positions pass you by. And you realize, I'm not setting my symbols anymore because I didn't understand the modification system, position location of its avatar line setting. But the only thing I understand is all levels of past starts to exist. And if it starts to exist, not only the position of the direction location of the mind of the avatar sets the signal in high center interference, but you're bringing the past forward in position, location of directions. Now you're coming into pulsar. Now you're coming into polarity. Now you come into the paradox. Now you come into the paradigm. Now you come into a polar shift. Now you're coming into all levels of communication setting that sets its tone in division location to all levels of its anomaly of space, of you. And that's not what you want to do. So in that position locations, always find a silver lining in all calculations, right? Better chance for you to understand these things and how it works, all formation locations, how the mind is set in its division, right? You guys are not at your sectors, you're not at your vectors, but you're getting there, right? So it's understanding the foundation of its principles of the 12 line settings of you in calculation, which is your chakra settings, right? To understand that is to understand the process of its emotion, because that's what you're living in line setting. And it's a placebo effect that's affecting you through the communication to its projection to its projecting. Okay. I keep saying that. That's all it is. That's all we're doing. That's it. This is scan. All right. This is what it's doing. So when you understand what's going on with you, then you understand the remote view. Right? See what I'm doing? Remote view. I'm looking at my hands when I'm scanning. Right? I go this way, or I can just look at one hand and then look back at this hand. So you have to truly understand how to scan. Okay? Line division location, security line defense. Up and down, right? And then it gets more complicated when you go higher level system. So it's not this anymore, it's this. It's this. And it crosses winds, line centers, high line center, circle line center rotations. It gets more complicated when you reach higher levels at your RMC setting. So in that position, location, directions, you connect always in forms. Now, the placebo cortex has position, location, direct line setting. How to use the grounds, the powers, and the atmosphere is just a 3-line setting interference. It sets position, location, direct locations. The vision line center sets course line center into levels of its imagination system. So line center rotation and calculation setting. All right. Get in and position, location, directions, right? All right. So we go back line center right here and set rotation. We're going to be here. Okay. So setting sonar communications in 3-line, 4-line position, right? Tone setting, high line, rotation, coloration, position, height setting. Secure line positions, all levels of red communication, right? So sets line position, all levels, gets into 3 communication settings, same coloration. All right, so in that line setting, so the sprinkler that goes off calculations in line setting interference, direct locations, and direct line settings in its position to its offset, off line center, and to all communication setting. Okay. So the central center and its communication system sets up high center location to placebo. This highlights its heart direction of timeline that opens all communication settings. So in that position location, it disappears in high setting. All right. So you guys are traveling in setting location of team lines. CPU, line center rotation interference, PCE, line center interference, DCP, position line directions. All right, 30-minute on the clock line setting. Have fun. Set line setting on high center interference, set position location, direct locations. Okay, so understand what is going on with you is the vision line setting. Okay, set location to its equation locations. You have to learn how to basically get into all lows to see the silver lining. There's a positive to everything. Anything you go through is all levels of you of a test. The test of will, the test of knowledge, the test of knowing, the test of understanding, and all calculation setting. Anything happens to you is not on purpose. It's not coincidence. It's a test. Test of will. So if you understand the will, then you understand the force. You understand the force, you understand the creation. You understand the creation, you understand location. Why these things happen to you is understand the how of operation. And then you understand, oh my gosh, everything has a silver lining, right? Which is positive or negative, not negative or positive. Understanding the position location is positive, positive. Understand the negative line center is negative, negative. Its position location of videograph stream and interference location of the foundation that understands its position location of its placebo that sets its effect. Everything is an effect. I picked this up, this is an effect. The motion line setting, 4-line setting, 5 high center interference, set position location, direct location to this digital pad, sets its communication system, hologram structure, comes out line center, starts spinning, in that center, in position location dimensional signing. Setting communication, setting interference. See the reflection locations to my baseline? See the communication interference line? It's on the other side line connection. It's not a reflection. It's me on the other line. Rotation, position, location, calculation, all levels of hologram structure. Right? That's what it is. You see it as a reflection. I see it as dimension. So in that position, location, directions, let's get into placebo. Okay, so placebo locations. Let's go through the P-line setting. P-line setting, line connects the levels. Position, location, and communication. Right? So placebo is communicating with the communication line setting and position, location, directions. All right, so let's go in line center locations so you can see more line setting better in communication setting. Okay, so you can actually see it, right? So the communication line setting rotates the system, position, location, directions, all as a channel operation stream, sets its calculation setting. All right, so you start here, you go here in 3-line communication. All right. Understanding the placebo is understanding line setting of position location of bracket, surface location of zero gravity, and position of volume into velocity and position location high centers of vector calculation. That's a high summation line setting. Now, your placebo changes the cortex line stream and position location all levels and how you see yourself in line center communication system, the levels of calculation into line center interference and high rotations to position location to its scale. Scale line center balance calculation seams. Now the seam line center sets high line center location of film strip line center rotation interference. I receptor calculation comes in the high line setting in scan location. See the intelligence? So setting communication line streams sets all position location directions. So you can do a film projector locations in both way line setting, right? Scanning position locations, two-line setting rotation, right? Scanning both ways in peripheral vision. If I take my finger line position locations, I got two-line settings go. How far can you see from that system? Angle line center location, high setting, right? So I can see my finger at both side locations. Know exactly what I'm doing through calculations. 8 channels of operating streams, 10 position locations, 1 position line center, 4 position location directions, 6 in center line interference, 8 in position locations, and 2 track locations in the moon setting. So your placebo sets all position location and direction. Okay, you have to truly understand how to use the operating line centers, the vector line interference, the volume communication, or it's fast. Right? But understand that's all calculated to all position locations, right? So you got to come into the connections to the lobes. Frontal lobe, you got line center locations, one in front, one in back. You got line center line interference location to 4 templates, 2 here and 1, 2 here, 2 here, 2 here. Diamond core, northwest, south, and east. The recognition line setting is line center interference over receptor interference that sets the flux capacity position location directions. Goes like this in channel operation streamline centers, circle and rotation in locations. Flux capacitor comes out line center interference, sets position locations to 8 line center rotation, which is an infinity cycle. All right. So understand the placebo and how it works through the projection to the projecting. You understand what's going through all levels of scanning. Okay. So get in that line setting, get in position location, direct line setting, foundation communications, foundations, all levels, channel operation streamlines, set position, location, and tone settings, high channel operation streamlines, opens all communication settings, high direct line setting, high interference, high program locations, all levels of channel operation stream settings, all modified through all calculations. So get into foundation line setting, foundation, formulates high center locations and position locations into a different line of a different angle calculation setting to all levels of space of time and calculation. All right. So the equal line center comes into line center rotation at 3 atom position locations in high setting, right? Through all levels of space line. Time position locations into size graph line setting into position locations at 3 line center into position locations, all levels at different angle calculation. Right. So understanding the fluctuation, understanding the form, understanding the flux is to understand the shape line setting. So the flux position location, the flux capacitor stays in line communication. See, flux capacitor sets position, 3 communication settings. All line setting come into all together calculation pyramid. There's your pyramid right there, all through form. All through flux capacitor line setting. You got operation signal, line center rotations. Let's get into opposition location 25, 25 equal line center 30. Let's go into 30 line center, box line position location into higher line communication system, all through panels of calculation. All right, so we got into 30 line setting. Now 30 line setting sets line position locations. 30 channel operating streamlines. So we already know what 3 is. What is 3? Fibonacci sequence pattern calculation high stream. Setting communication settings, all levels of high setting. This position location to its arrow going forward and set communications or going back and center line connections, all levels of time position through pi. Okay. Pi rec line setting high interference, put the 30 communication system in the 30 line setting location of pi system, sets position location high setting. Now you got a 24,000 light signature, 48,000 line position of all levels of window, 72,000 computer line center, and 144 line of a crystal grid line center rotation. Sets position location high setting. So 30 is a recognition line setting in all levels of Fibonacci sequence, Fibonacci swirl, Fibonacci rotation, circulation, circulatory line setting, all calculations. Everything in your chakra system is a placebo. It has to because it's an effect. It's affecting you and your body that's reacting to everything through calculation to all levels of form of your division. So when you get in position locations, you guys understand the zero gravity line settings, right? From 0 to 25, 25 to 30, 30 position location over factor. Anything over factor, future calculation times pi times position, sector calculations into quantum setting in line center rotations in its direct locations to its system. All right, so once you understand the line settings, once you understand the 24, 48, 72, 144, you're understanding 4 clocking settings and high line setting and high interference and position location, all levels of space and time and dimension. 4 clocking settings of 24,000, 48,000, 72,000, 144. Yes. Now the 24 clocking setting, a 24,000 clocking setting, a 48,000 window setting of clocking, a 72,000 clocking setting locations of computers, and 140 crystal grid line setting location of orbit channels of operation signals. Your position, location, of formation is all levels of alliance calculations and 3-panel communication of trend line settings that sets its communication line setting into its placebo of its cortex line stream. Hoo-ah. All right, so when you get in that line setting, we erase communication. Getting in interference sets line conditions. So let's say 30 locations. Okay, so we go positive over negative and set a communication. Now, once you come in at 31, what is 31? So that's negative over positive. All right, positive over negative over to 1, because 1 is equal line locations of odd. 1 line center of 3 is odd. Okay, so it's sure you understand how 1, 3 in position location is odd and 2, 4, and 6 is even. So you have to understand the communication setting to all line settings in that position. All right, so once you understand that, calculation stream locations opens up all levels of channel per stream line settings. So every placebo is a cortex line setting that is a project location, that setting location of its mind setting that's open to all visionary cortex line condition to its imagination. The imagination comes into its phenomena. The phenomena changes position location of all direct line setting to its calculation that sets a different placebo line setting location of stream setting that opens up a different data streamline setting that opens up all communication system to your tracker system of 114 line settings. Very powerful in that position location calculation. All right, so again, getting into 30 line setting. All right, so you understand 3 line setting comes into Fibonacci. You put the F line setting, set position location of tone center interference, set direct locations. All right, so 30 stays here. All right, so 30 equal line connection to its own space of time is pi. You come into position locations. All right, so it grounds this line setting, ground levels, okay, equals line setting. Now the line setting sets position location to its tone, equal line connection to its placebo. Okay, so once you get into 30 position location, you box its position. All right, once you understand line setting locations, you put 3 here, up here line setting. Okay, then you come into higher communication. Now 3 line is all equal locations, and this is where it comes into higher position of directions. When you put these things together, right? So when you put it together, it's a magnetic force. It's like 2 magnets coming into 1. So from 3 equals line connection of 0, equal line connections of 30 comes in position location directions, right? So once you get into that, you understand the representation of what it is. There's placebo. 30 equals line connections of levels of travel. 30 equals travel. So you understand the travel line position, teleportation, telecommunications, tele-energy line centers, tele-weighting system, alpha channels, communication delta wave line settings, all positions into all levels into higher interference, Y line settings, X, Y, Z, width the communication system, forming calculations, ground line settings, kaleidoscope interference, level communication system, operation cycles, operation system, allocate timeline center, all position locations in high center interference of 3 and 0. That's the true understanding of what your tracker system is to its effect. It's all levels of emotion. Okay? So when you get in that line center interference in position locations, once you get in 114, we'll get in position in the galaxy settings and we'll get into coloration because that's what galaxies are, different coloration line settings, paint by number. So getting in that position location is your foundation, 12 line centers, all calculation of its principle, sets position location, high line setting. Okay, so we understand the Fibonacci sequence. Okay, it's the Fibonacci sequence of 3. All right, so that equal line connections of line is 0. 0 comes into line position location, into bracket interference, in position location, into operation. Okay, so it's Fibonacci operation. That's what 30 is. All right, so coming in line center rotation interference of 31. Remember, it's all position of Fibonacci. Now the line center rotations, 3 comes in line center locations into negative because the 1 changes position location directions. 1 equals line center locations of 1 equal line center location of Fibonacci swirl, set location of its operation system, in position location of its placebo. Okay? So Fibonacci comes into security. Fibonacci sequence of security, right? 32 comes in highest center and high interference. Now, 32 line center, keep always inform foundation location what your 12 foundation is. Never forget that in your principles. All right, so the line signal, 3 line centers, you circle its position location, comes its Fibonacci 3 line center, equal location of Fibonacci swirl line center, security measures. You're adding frames. So 2 line center comes into security and its perimeter. Fibonacci sequence of security and perimeter. Okay, and that position location calculations. 33, okay, comes in all line centers of 2 Fibonacci swirls, one in opposite direction, right? So understand communications, all level system, 1 Fibonacci here, 1 Fibonacci here in center locations, right? 3 in center locations, 33. 33 sets in the middle. So you get a Fibonacci sequence here, Fibonacci sequence here, right? So security measures, perimeters, and parameters, okay? Gets a little bit more complicated because you get into line center location, adaptation system, position location directions, higher levels of travel, position location, your DNA line center, it opens all communication settings and all levels of calculation to your placebo cortex, high center location of your streamline center of your spine calculation. Hooah. All right, so 33 line center comes into 34. Now 34 comes in a solar generator light stream. So it's a Fibonacci sequence line pattern. So it comes into patterns now through coloration. Fibonacci coloration patterns. 35 is set line position locations in all levels, balance communication into your planetary line center, solar graph interference line position location directions, all levels comes into an atom line setting. Fibonacci of an atom sequence. 36 sets line position locations into your throat pattern, right? So it becomes a Fibonacci swirl line center of a water pattern. 37 line setting sets line position locations on levels into your travels and mechanism line center locations into your theta box. So it becomes a Fibonacci theta system. 38 centers, high center, high interference line direct locations. 3 line centers is the Fibonacci, right? So you got 3 communications, bring back in position location balance calculations. So 9 is the channel operation streamline. This comes into an energy wash, right? So it's a Fibonacci rainbow wash. 40 in communication setting, high center interference is a solar direct line setting location of operation. Okay, so it's a solar generation line stream. Okay, so those are the tracker systems from 30 to 40. Okay, we'll stop there in the position location directions. It's all connected to all formation line setting and how you set the inhibitor location to its position. Your enhancers sets communication to all levels of high setting. Okay, understanding the direct line setting is all position location to its calculation to its placebo. Each coordinate is line communication. It gets more complicated because you're going to higher levels of acceleration to your stargates of the placebo cortex line stream. Okay, so now you know what they are from 30 to 40. We'll get into that more line setting. So the thing is, too, is that you don't understand what General's doing. You try to understand what you're doing through your avatar line setting, okay? So don't copy what I say. Get into your own formation, to your own imagination, to your own phenomena, what they are to you. But the process of the communication is never lose the foundation of your 12 line center because that's the principle of its connections of your DNA, okay? So, all right, formation line settings, high line setting, high line center, interference and position location and calculation settings. All right, a lot of channel operators stream locations are open up to placebo cortex, the theta box setting. Commander communications, atom line setting, Ryan calculations, all levels, Belinda calculations, Lindsay, Gypsy, set location, Madeline, Tina Calicore, Gina calculations, Jill position location, all levels, JP, Sammy, all position location, Arlene, high communication, Nikki, all levels, Geneva, Heather calculations, Airbender calculations, Johnny, all position location, all levels, ground setting locations. into guarding into setting communications, high setting, levels, Sammy, Trinity, levels calculations, levels defense lines, Max, Andre, Don, Val, Chris, all position lines, setting Nova. We have a lot to talk about, don't we? Gets more complicated, right? But a lot more fun. So once you understand more lines of communication in your high channel operation settings, you get a better understanding where your chakras are and what they mean to you through your own foundation. And that's what you're doing. You're coming into your own imagination of your own phenomena, what they are through representation. Do not follow general in any way and form. Okay? You follow what you feel. It's connected to all your line senses, all calculation setting. Now I set up the grounds from 30 to 40, but you have to find a way what works for you. As long as you understand the foundations of 12, you'll be fine, because all you're doing is you're channeling to higher levels into 1, 2, and 3 of digital form calculation. That's it. Nothing else, nothing more. Okay? All right. Okay, here. Let's see. You guys are going through a lot line. Today's instructions: Laura, Danielle. Let's see here. Lindsay. Open channel. Yep. Receiving. Yep. Tons. Yeah. So it's all about position location, what a scrambler is. Now, Jill's in a very formation location to the inner child line setting to its development on its own. She knows exactly how to use her scrambler communication system. Everybody has that through their own placebo cortex line. It's connected to all lines of your data stream line center. That's connected to all position locations to your chakra system. That's all position locations and how you see yourself in all forms of your vibration of its emotional setting. Okay? So, all right. Yeah, I know it's a lot to absorb. Very high rise and so many line connections, guys. Truly understand what you're up against. That's all it is. You just have to come into your own foundation of your system. That's all this is. Okay. I give you guidance. I give you structure. So that gives you volume. And when you get volume, you get in position location what it is. When you want a back triangle set line position location all levels and how you see yourself, you can go through E equals MC square. E equals MC square. It's all formation location and foundation view. To the grounds, to the powers, and to the atmosphere line setting. Okay. So it's all representation and how you see yourself in all your sensories, your senses, your communications of 5, 6, 7, and 8. So you have 8 division lines to infinity and 8 circle locations and mind telepathy telekinesis line connections to your placebo cortex line stream. All right. So it's 8 equal line cell locations, 8 position line setting. 8 equals 8. Circle interference and sets position location to all sets communications line center lines locations. Okay, bring you guys back in center locations. Bring you out of instability setting. Okay. So that's all you're doing. Okay, connecting line streams, line center rotations to your chakra system, all calculations to your DNA. That's it. All through your emotional system. All through your vibration settings. Close your windows, close your portals. I know it felt like 5 seconds now, but its position locations almost like the same locations of 30. See, 30 on the dot, 30 communication setting and high line center rotations, negative or line setting location of 2, right? That's 2 seconds in line setting, off course calculations, off grid setting line positions, off grid line rotations, in ground setting rotations of 4 line settings of sonar interference, in position location of alpha, line center location of delta, in position location of grounds, and set calculations all levels of beta calculation setting. 2 seconds offline set interference into 30 communication setting, into circular rotation to its clocking setting. So, very powerful class. You guys are doing extremely well. Your position line settings of your intelligence coming in all ways and forms. I know you guys have a lot of questions, right? That's what it's all about. You guys have the answers to all couple questions, right? You have to be reliable to understand what is going on with you through time and space, or space of time. Doesn't matter. Nothing is off balance until you see yourself off balance. This is off balance? No. But you see me off balance, right? I'm not off balance. It's what's here that's balanced. Just because you see the physical line, adaptation line, center interference off signal doesn't mean I'm off balance. I'm on balance because it's here. That's the balance. It's not what you see. And that's what you don't understand. Everything's in position. Everything is balanced here. Everything has to be balanced here. That's the position of directions that all comes in all calculations, to all frequencies, to all position locations. It was an extremely fast class in communication setting. Right? You never know what class is going to be in all line positions. Right? You never know.